Hello, today we're going to be talking about how to graph equations. So we've been working with these equations, y equals mx plus b, for a few days now. In the past, you might have seen this equation with a little bit different labels. We talked about labeling it y equals the change, x plus, and then we called the y-intercept the start. The slope and the y-intercept are just fancy ways of saying the change and the start. That's what we call them in math. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our equation and we're going to label the slope and the y-intercept. So our slope is the number that's with x. So in this case, we can see that there's a 2/3 with our x. So we're going to label the slope 2/3. You can see it also labeled here. We previously called that the change. The y-intercept, which we used to call the start, is labeled here, and we see that it is 4. We know it's positive 4 because there's a plus sign. And now we're going to talk about how to graph this equation. So when we're graphing this equation, the y-intercept is going to tell us where to start. The y-axis is the one that goes up and down, and we're going to start at 4 because that's the y-intercept. So I'm going to put a dot starting at 4. And the slope is kind of like directions. We call this rise over run. So the top number tells us how much to go up, and the bottom number tells us how much to go to the right. If they were negatives, you might do the opposite. So for the rise, there's 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up 2 from this first point. Up 1, 2. Then the run is 3. So I need to go over 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a dot. I put the lines to show you the movement. Once you get more comfortable, you're not going to include the lines. So then we're going to start at this point and go up 1, 2, and then over 1, 2, 3, and we'll put another dot. And then once you have 3 points, you will connect those with a line. So I'm going to draw a line through my 3 points. And that's how I graph this line. Y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Let's look at another example. We have y equals negative 1/4 x. So like we talked about, the slope is the first number with the x. So in this case, it's negative 1/4. So we're going to label the slope negative 1/4. And now the y-intercept. There's nothing else. It doesn't say plus anything or minus anything. So for our y-intercept, we're going to put that it's 0. So remember, the y-intercept tells us where to start. So we're going to start at 0, which is right in the middle. And then our slope is like directions. Remember we talked about that it was rise over run. But this case it's negative. So instead of rise, we're going to call this fall because we're going to go down and then over. Notice that we're still going to the right because only one of the numbers is negative, not both. So we're going to go down and then right. So I'm going to go down 1 and then right 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to put another dot. And I'm going to start at this point, and I'm going to go down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to put another point. So I started at the y-intercept, and then I used my slope. I went down 1, right 4. And now I'm going to use a line to connect my points. And that's going to create our graph for y equals negative 1/4 x. Let's look at one final example. We have y equals 2x minus 3. So first we're going to look at the slope. In the spot that's labeled slope, we have a 2. So I'm going to put slope 2. But you might have noticed in all the other problems, our slope was a fraction because we need to label it rise over run. So I'm going to think, how can I make 2 a fraction? Well, I can make 2 a fraction by putting it over 1. And then I'm going to look at my y-intercept. It's normally plus b. So in this case, I have minus 3. Remember when we were working with equations, the negative sign is in front of the number. So we're going to put the y-intercept is negative 3 because the minus sign goes with the 3. So we need to always start by graphing our y-intercept. So I'm going to find on the y-axis negative 3, and I'm going to put a dot. Intercept is just a word to say cross, so it's where does it cross the y-axis. And now we're going to use our slope. Our slope is 2 over 1, so it's telling us to go up 2 and then right 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, and then right 1, and put another dot. And then I'll do that again. Up 1, 2, right 1, and put a dot. And again, I will connect my dots with a straight line. And now I've graphed my equation y equals 2x minus 3. I hope this helped. Thank you for watching. I believe in you. Have a great day.